Hey everybody, this is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been some time since I posted a video, but I just decided today I'm going to jump in on the attempted assassination on former US President Trump. Everybody's been talking about it, and I just decided to put in my own opinion on it. There are some factors that is causing me not to do a full-blown debrief on it, because the truth of the matter is I don't have all the facts, and there's developing information. There is a lot of so-called experts weighing in on this. And by the way, guys, I'm on the road. As you can see, I have nothing to show you on camera. Just concentrate on the audio. If I have anything to show you on camera, just check out the description box, but there's absolutely no need to look at your cell phone or your smart device. There's no reason to look at the video portion. Once again, just the audio. So I also wanted to weigh in on tactics, techniques that private security in California can use and some weapons they can't use. So I want to discuss the gun laws as it pertains to private security in California. There's just so much crazy like videos about what happened. There's a lot of commentary. What's up, Sam? And there's this guy I follow him. His name is Meet Kevin. I follow him for his business advice, and all of a sudden he has 3 years of being a police explorer, and now he's a firearms expert, advising that it probably came from a 50 caliber Barrett. I don't know, man. There's just so much so-called experts on this topic. So first, I want to weigh in on what is involved when there's a presidential detail, and I can tell you from my limited experience what it would look like, because I was within like a car lengths away from Donald Trump a few years ago when he came to our area, and I was involved on the perimeter control. So basically I was like perimeter. So what happens, and once again, this is my personal professional experience, getting firsthand information from Secret Service. What they do is, like a month before, sometimes a couple months before, they contact their local law enforcement and they ask about any issues, like political atmosphere, what are the issues that are involved in the neighborhood, and they just basically scout the neighborhood for intel. I don't know if it's a couple months before, but rest assured, at least a couple of weeks, probably even a month. And what they do is they try to see what the high points are, like what are the highest portions of the buildings, where's the nearest hospital or medical facility. There's a whole lot of intel that has to be done before a president even lands, and it's like everything's secretive. So what I did notice is that if you wanted to be next to President Trump, if you are a law enforcement official, first off, you have to be vetted. They run background checks, and second, there's a good chance that you are going to be disarmed. With the agency that I work for, basically the chief of police had to disarm. And then in the motorcade, he had to put his firearm in the back of his patrol vehicle. And that's for the president's safety. I will tell you, though, that there's a large screening process that's involved. So there's the immediate area where you would have gained access to Donald Trump. And in the area, I'm telling you guys, it's screened. There's no firearms. And I was always thinking, if there's any type of threat that's going to be a threat, it's going to come from an elevated position. Where I work at, there was a lot of apartments, And I know for a fact that the Secret Service did not clear those areas, which is fine because the motorcade is rolling like 50 miles an hour right through like stop signs, and they're rolling code 3, which is light sirens for those of you that are not familiar with police procedures. And what we learned is that when a presidential vehicle or any executive comes to a stop, that's the most critical point ever. That's where somebody can actually start an attack. But even with a rifle, your basic rifle calibers, I don't think they would go through the presidential vehicle. What I want to say is, in short, is that there's a lot of preparation that goes on with these types of events. And what you have is a sniper team of 2, and I don't know for a fact whether they fire or not. I don't know, and it's like nobody knows because it's a developing situation. It's a developing investigation. It is going to take months to even a year, even longer than that, to get a full analysis of the situation. Yet we have experts breaking down everything that happened, and they make it seem like they were there. Anyhow, what I see though is when you see the president getting hit, I'm sorry, a former president getting hit, and by the way, I'm really pressed to believe that that's not his ear being grazed. I'm pressed to say that bullet struck his skull, and it just like ricocheting off of it. I've seen a number of suicides. I've seen a lot of people get hit with certain calibers of gunfire, of cartridges, bullets, I'm sorry. And what I will tell you is that ammunition does some interesting things when it hits a skull. Your skull is very hard. It can even repel a knife attack, and it can deflect the bullet. I've seen that happen. So, until the formal report comes in, I am pressed into believing that it was probably a ricochet from the skull, but I'm not going to give any information and come off as facts. That's not my plan in doing this. Before we dwell further, I do want to make it known that my hero is not Donald Trump. It's Corey. Corey is the firefighter, the off-duty firefighter that was hit right in the face, right in the head. Maybe that shot was meant for Donald Trump, but Corey is my hero. He shielded his family from gunfire, or shielded some other spectators from gunfire. He is my absolute hero. So may he rest in peace. Moving onward, on a sniper team, what you normally have is a spotter, and you have the sniper, right? The guy with the rifle. But here it looks like you have 2 of them. And when the shots go ringing off, what I notice is the sniper, he's actually looking surprised, but rapidly he's looking over the scope. And what I'm starting to believe is that this sniper thought that area where the shooter was at was secured, and he was kind of shocked. And what you normally do when you're shooting precision rifle is sometimes you get so into the glass that you're not able to see around the situation, and you lose perspective. So I think what he may have been doing is a technique, looking over the glass, looking outside of the scope to get a better perspective of what's happening, and he returns fire. And I mean, those were some hell of a precision shots. That was a great follow-up on the sniper team. I mean, yeah, it took like 5 seconds, but that was pretty fast. So that was great on his behalf. Hey, what's up, Jack? That person with the, I don't know, it was an AR. We know he had a rifle. He's climbing on some roof. Guys, that would have never happened when I worked at the Trump event. Like, there's no way that somebody would have gained access to a roof if somebody was doing their job. And what I'm really concerned for is that, or the question I have is, do former presidents get less Secret Service protection than if they were the actual president? So would President Biden get more Secret Service resources than former President Trump, because let's face it, he's former President Trump. He's former, right? So would he get less protection? And I'm starting to think that the answer is maybe. I just kind of feel like somebody wasn't doing their job. Maybe somebody who was supposed to be like setting perimeter around this roof, maybe they weren't doing their job. Maybe there was a break in leadership, where that maybe they didn't dedicate an asset or a resource to the roof. Maybe someone's job wasn't explained thoroughly. I don't know. But what I will tell you is if that roof was the responsibility of local law enforcement, there was probably a breakdown of communication. So when somebody saw this guy climbing the roof, it's very possible that you have different frequencies involved. When I worked the presidential detail, we were not on the same frequency as Secret Service, which is a huge problem. So if you're local law enforcement, and that's the position I was in, if they saw something, you have a breakdown of communication. You can't just tell the sniper team, hey, you know what? Somebody just breached the roof. Like they're on top of the roof with a rifle. When I worked the detail, there wasn't those possibilities. So what I would have to do is reach out to our Secret Service liaison and make sure he's paying attention to radio, and then he communicates directly to the Secret Service. I will also tell you that Secret Service is exactly that, a secret. Their plans, their routes, they're given very broadly to law enforcement. But as for local law enforcement, having direct comms communication to Secret Service, that's a challenge that Secret Service is going to have to overcome, because they don't want local law enforcement having that information. It's kind of like they don't trust local law enforcement, and I totally understand. I mean, if there's a threat, you would think that it's possibly from local law enforcement infiltrating, but again, you never know. You absolutely never know. I'm looking forward to your questions, your concerns, dialogue. I want to know what you guys' perspective is on the situation. So I want to go back to the title of this video. It's basically a BSIS firearms instructor's perspective. I am a licensed Bureau Security Investigative Services firearms instructor. I am licensed to provide requalifications and qualifications to private security guards in California. I know we have like 100 and over 100, I think it's 88,000 or 100,000 armed private security professionals in our state alone. Good evening, Ryan from the University Security and Training Solutions channel. I'm going to be flat out honest here. When you guys are providing private security service with an executive protection component, you are shortchanging your client. If the Secret Service cannot even protect the former United States President of America, what makes you think that you can adequately protect your executive? I would hope that you guys would say we have a lot of training. Lots of training. We train. And then you would be able to answer to me who exactly you train with. If your answer to the public is, I train with Secret Service all the time, you are probably lying. The only one that I know that would come close to that is probably Gavin D. Becker and Associates. That's the only firm that I know where retired Secret Service agents, former Secret Service agents come from, and then they get hired by Gavin D. Becker and Associates. If you hire former Secret Service agents, retired agents, they probably have a good rapport with the training bureau, with supervisory Secret Service agents, that would allow them to have access to some of the training that's involved. Otherwise, you guys are lying. Most executive protection agencies that state that they train directly with the Secret Service, they're lying. They are completely lying. There are some firms that train with the Department of State, also known as Diplomatic Security Services. There is a firm that I know that hires trainers directly from them, and that is Solutions International in Riverside. If all these other firms are swearing that they train with FBI, HRT, Secret Service, or DSS, most of them are lying. That's not the case. So that's not the case. Where are they training? Probably nowhere. Okay. In California, first off, you can't have a sniper team in California. They have to be law enforcement. Our wonderful Democratic Party in our state, they wrote laws. Okay, they wrote a recent bill that was signed by Governor Gavin Newsom that basically it bans your 5.56, your 300 blackout, your 223 calibers. By banning those calibers, and when I say banning, meaning that you cannot qualify anymore under those calibers and get it on your firearms permit card. You used to be able, depending on what firearm instructor you go to, as long as BSIS didn't realize that there's maybe an error, you were able to have 5.56, 223, 300 black on your caliber, on your firearms permit. Now, once they caught on, they would send you basically a letter stating that the permit that they issued you is invalid because there was a mistake. But anyhow, there's a new law that came into effect. You cannot have those traditional rifle calibers. You're stuck with 9mm, 40 cal. You can't have 5.7 anymore. 45, 38, 357 special. 357 Magnum, 38 special, 357 Magnum, and I think 10 millimeters on there. But you can't have a rifle caliber anymore. For that reason, sniper protection went out the door. Now, I guess, there's some people that might argue that no, you can't have a rifle caliber if you can have a rifle and use it as private security. And I think somebody reached out to me, a reputable security company that I come into contact with all the time. They reached out to me, but I still respectfully disagree because the argument is that came from a judge. Unfortunately, and I don't want to sound arrogant, judges don't know the law completely. They don't know all the intricacies involved with carrying a loaded firearm in a loaded place. What they depend on is the prosecutor and the defense educating them on the law, citing recent case decisions and citing recent statutory law. They depend on that. And if the defense and the prosecutor is if they're confused on what the law is, the judge is not going to have a clear understanding of what the law is. They may have been a lawyer. Well, all judges are lawyers. They may have practiced law like 30 years ago or 20 years ago. I still disagree with that firm, with that security firm that I highly respect, especially if the basis is coming from one judge. And again, that's just me. In 2015-16, BSIS asked for input from the public to develop a 2-day rifle course that would enable private security guards the ability to have a rifle, carry a rifle, because it's something that wasn't really regulated for duty purposes, and that went out the door. You keep voting in Democratic governors. You keep maintaining California as a super Democratic majority state. You're not going to get these laws that benefit the client and that benefit private security at all. Give me 1 second. we learned that the shooter fired away from minimum of 100 meters. I don't know if it was meters or yards. We'll just say 100 yards up to like 180, almost 200. We'll just say between 1 and 200 yards. Guys, I can get your new shooter, somebody, I'm talking about somebody who wants to learn about handguns, right? Somebody who never touched a gun. Give me 2 days with that person, even 1 day. I will give them a pistol with a 4-inch barrel, mount an optic on it with probably a 2 MOA, minute of angle. What minute of angle refers to is that 100 yards, 1 inch of the target is covered. 1 inch of the target is covered with that reticle, with that red dot. I can put a target 100 yards away, train somebody for 2 days, maybe even at the end of 1 day, and with at least 50% accuracy, we can get a hit on target. It's not a hard thing to do with a pistol. If we're able to stabilize that pistol at 100 yards, I would feel confident taking a shot, not a sniper precision shot, but I would feel comfortable taking out somebody who is hell-bent on hurting the client at 100 yards, especially in daylight. I would prefer some type of magnification, if at all possible, but if I get a clear picture of somebody directing gunfire towards my client, there's a good chance I'm going to take that shot. Now, we've talked about this on other videos. We done walkthroughs in supermarkets. I would not take a 100-yard shot in a supermarket if there's an active shooter. I just think it's a terrible idea. You're not able to see clearly at those distances. But in daylight, outside of the artificial lighting environment, you should be able to see a lot better than inside. So at 100 yards, I feel comfortable getting your first day shooter at the end of the 8th hour, hitting steel, we'll say an 8x10 target, which is, it's like a piece of paper, with a red dot, with a red dot mounted on a pistol. Now just imagine if I put a rifle behind that first day shooter. All day we will hit at 100 yards. I'm just saying that if you're working private security and you have to take that hit, that shot, especially if you're able to stabilize your hands on something, I think that you can effectively take that hit. 200 yards, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've done classes where we would just mess around and hit and make our hits at 200 yards, 300 yards, 300 yards, 200 yards with a pistol. We've done that before, and I've actually showed you guys that on YouTube Shorts. But it's like 10% accuracy, guys, 20% accuracy, and you are, as a private security guard, you are responsible for every shot that you fire. Okay? There's absolutely no way. So if you're working private security in California, I would argue you're going to need to have magnification at those distances. Can you put a scope on a pistol? I mean, I'm just thinking about, and I'm brainstorming with you guys. Best setup. You're working private security, California, you can't have a rifle. How would you set this up? Well, you could technically have a pistol, right? Maybe I would throw it in a 5-inch barrel. You can have a scope on there. Maybe put a 1x4 scope, or 1 to 4 power scope, variable scope, maybe a little bit more power than that, and you could see clearly behind the glass. Can you stabilize your gun? Man, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. Maybe if you practice putting your hand on something, or creating, maybe putting the edge of the barrel on a tripod. And in my office, I do have a tripod for these types of situations, but these situations call for rifles most of the time. And then maybe set up somebody with binoculars so I can see a lot more closer up. Sure, why not? Maybe I could set up something like this, but that's something I got to practice on. And most ranges don't have a range where you can go, on a third level balcony. I've shot from a Department of Corrections. Actually, I haven't shot. I went to the top floor of it, and you're talking about, yeah, maybe a 4-story balcony where I'm able to gain an elevated position of advantage. But I had the luxury of having access to that because I'm in law enforcement. Most private security don't have access to those types of platforms. Unfortunately, I think what this leads to, guys, is we're gonna have to work harder as private security professionals to protect our client. We don't have the resources that private security. We don't have the resources that law enforcement has, in California at least. What you might want to do is, if you have truly an executive, and I'm not talking about your rapper who just hires private security, like 5 of them, just to show how powerful that they are, and maybe there's no active threat to them. I'm talking about somebody who is an actual executive or celebrity that people really want to hurt. I think if you're able to get a hold of law enforcement and supplement your private security team with them, including involving, maybe they have a precision sniper squad. Maybe, just maybe you can get law enforcement with eyes on a roof that's 100 meters away, 200 meters away, 50 meters away, and provide that overwatch protection. While you work in conjunction with law enforcement and provide the actual security that your client needs. Like, maybe weeks in advance, you train in the same environment with law enforcement. And some of you are going to say that's not possible. Like, law enforcement doesn't want to train with you. It's a numbers game. It's a money game. All you have to do in your private security, reach out to your law enforcement contact and offer to pay overtime to those police officers that might be assigned to your detail. Provide overtime and provide the trainers. I've been in law enforcement for, it's going to be 22 years in August. That's next month. And what I will tell you is, on the private security side, there are more. I know some more experience, like Randy Nunez from Global Veterans. He's the deputy chief at Citywide Protecting Services right now. I don't know if you guys know, he got an awesome career opportunity over there. That guy has more experience, and I train with him all the time. He has more experience than the most senior member of SWAT in our local community. The training that he has provided to me and guys that I depend on a daily basis, it's phenomenal. Just because somebody's in private security, that doesn't mean that you get less level of training. What? Is that Marquise over here? Mark? And Mark should know. Mark has trained with Randy on a couple occasions. I saw him like a couple months ago. Anyhow, he says, should the PCC debate regarding private security be back in the conversation? PCC, are you talking about a pistol caliber carbine? Yeah, I mean, that's what your PCC is. So if this is regarding your pistol caliber carbine, I would make an argument that it is perfectly legal. It's not a gray area to have as a private security officer in the state of California. BSIS might agree, but ask them to cite you where it says you can't have a PCC. If that's the case, can you take a shot at 100 yards with a PCC? And I would say absolutely yes. I think if you're providing overwatch duties, I would throw a PCC into the basket. Just put a good piece of glass on a PCC and you can make it happen. Now, let's just say you want to push it to 200 yards. No, I just don't think that's a good idea. I think that's well deserving of a rifle rated caliber. there's just so much variance in where that bullet is going to impact with a pistol carbine. But 100 yards, yes, I would say yes, depending on the environment. And I do love the ability to stabilize the pistol on your shoulder. I'm sorry, stabilize. It'd be a rifle in that circumstance. At the same time, I do like the convenience of the pistol red dot. Right, I could take. 100 yards, guys. I'm fairly accurate. I could make maybe, I don't know, 70-80% of my hits at 100 yards standing with the red dot that's a 2 MOA. I keep trying with the 6, and it's kind of hit or miss, because with the 6 MOA dot that I have, it covers too much of the target. With a pistol caliber carbine, I would feel like easy 90% to 98%. I don't want to say 100% because nothing's 100%, but I feel a lot more comfortable. And that's the shot that you might need to take. So I'm all for private security companies carrying a PCC with a sling, and as long as they're providing overwatch duties. If you're in the crowd, right, providing like crowd control, I would just say no. But if you're truly providing overwatch duties, I would argue yes. And I definitely want to hear input from you guys. What do you guys think about that argument? We have a lot of people today chiming in. There's like 120 people at one time. So I just want to do a little roll call. Let's see who's here. Sam is here. Jack Spade is here. Welcome. Jamie's here. Hi, how you doing? Ryan from the University of Security and Training Solutions channel. And guys, this is a shout out to everybody that has a YouTube channel as well. Make sure you guys check out their content. Oh man, I don't have nobody helping me moderate. It's okay. Michael Smith says most couldn't even tell you the Constitution they swore to uphold. That is a topic of discussion for sure, but that's not really the topic of today's video, which is it revolves around a discussion on what options are available to private security. Okay. All right. University of Security Training Solutions, and I get angry watching that video because, guys, I am a 100% Trump supporter, and I got a little bit emotional. Like, I just it bothered me how somebody can do this to somebody who's possibly our future president again. And it really bothered me how there was a breakdown in communication, how there was a small gap in time that was not accounted for. That bothered the living crap out of me. There will be a review on this, and those who need to be held accountable need to be held accountable. The Secret Service, they went on top of the president ASAP, and they did a phenomenal job doing that. The sniper team, if those were in fact rounds that came from the sniper team, from the Secret Service sniper team, kudos to you guys. That was awesome performance. Unbelievable. That was just great. Again, guys, don't perceive the sniper looking over the scope, looking confused. Don't look at that as a sign of weakness. Once again, he probably overpowered the glass. He probably, in layman's terms, he probably had too much magnification, and that's understandable because he's thinking like, hey, you know what? This area of the roof of this barn or wherever the shooter was at, that's covered already because we have law enforcement over there, making sure nobody goes up. So let's change our magnification. Let's zero in on this other area, or let's keep our scope within the range of possibilities to only this area. So what he did was, he's like, what the hell? Okay, boom, shooting happens. Looking at my scope, I don't have that perspective that I need. I'm probably magnified too much. He takes his eyes off the glass to look over to see what the hell's going on, goes back on the glass, possibly decreasing magnification, and boom, right there, headshot. Phenomenal job. And you're looking at like 4 seconds, 5 seconds, which is phenomenal. So good job to those particular Secret Service agents. Once again, our true American hero, in my opinion, was Corey, who lost his life protecting others, off-duty firefighter. Let's not forget him. It really pissed me off that Donald Trump mentioned that there was a man that was shot and killed, and your prayers for him. No. With all due respect, sir, we need to know who this person is. And once we know who that person is, we're gonna let everybody know who he was. Ryan from the University of Security Training Solutions channel. Make sure you guys subscribe to him. He says Dale June wrote the book on it, used in pretty much every college course, executive protection class. Elijah Shaw is well known in the executive celebrity protection. Thank you. Jack Spade says, my first security company had an executive team. They didn't train anybody. Typical security propaganda. There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, we have all of these videos of like rappers, and we have these Mexican bands that I see some, or Latin American bands. Usually over here we see Mexican bands, but we see private security companies protecting them, right? Like it's a rite of passage, like they're the elite of private security. They're not elite. I'm just tired of seeing all the fakes out there. These companies who are falsely advertising that they're executive protection. It's a joke, because most of them are not. Right now, if I had to restart my private security company, again, from the bottom up, I would not start an executive protection bureau. I don't have the resources. I don't have the manpower. I would do a client an injustice. Or what I would do is I would lay out the framework. This is the resources I have. This is what I could provide to you. This is the void. And maybe contract to somebody who has those resources. At least you have to do that. You owe that to your client. Jack Spade says, most of my bodyguard personal protection has been for court-related issues. Like maybe like restraining orders. Those are the most dangerous ones also. Ryan University channel says, private companies really struggle to provide close to the level of protection of a government agency. There are providers out there that have a heck of a lot of resources, high net worth individuals. Yep. Ryan, he's on top of this. I'm telling you, Ryan from the University Security Solutions channel, I know he's on top of it. 148 yards estimated. Guys, 148 yards, I would not take a precision shot with a pistol. That is insane. No. Even a PCC, a pistol caliber carbine, no, not 148 yards. You're responsible for every round. There's just too much variations of the bullet where it would impact at those distances. Nope, absolutely not. Not 148 yards. 100 yards, yes. With a PCC, maybe even a pistol-mounted red dot. That's kind of pushing it. Sam Martin says, what does the law say about 300 blackout in California? You can't use it as private security anymore. They wrote it out of the books. It's only those calibers I mentioned. Jack Spade says, you got a lot of viewers. Yep. Hold on, guys. Sam Martin says, was the DEA involved in Saturday? So what happens when there's a presidential detail, every federal agency in the area or a couple hours away, they get deployed to these types of events. That is if former President Trump has the same protection budget as Joe Biden. If it's Joe Biden, I'll tell you for sure, President Joe Biden, I'll tell you for sure that every federal agency would deploy to that area. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Kane says, are there any good bidding websites for private security that you would recommend? Not at this time. Jacob Williams said, I'd subscribe to you. Hey, thank you so much. Ratmosphere says, was it an AR-10? And guys, once again, I see all these experts. They're like, oh, that was an AR-15, or that. The craziest one I heard was it was a Barrett 50 caliber bolt action. Like, how the hell do you know that it was that? That's just crazy. One of my buddies was involved in Las Vegas Route 51 massacre, and he told me that it was most likely coming from a belt-fed, is it a PKK? And then that wasn't even the case. And you're talking about somebody Marine, MOS was tanks, and been involved in numerous gunfights, and still he was like way off. It was way off. So was it AR-10? I don't know, but I will tell you that 140 yards is very doable with an AR-15. And I really would like to know, like, where did this person get, this 20-year-old get the training from? Where did he get the training from? And how was he able to access the roof and lay down 7 to 8 shots with some type of accuracy? Like, where do you get that training from? It just makes you wonder, you know, only being 20 years old. University Security and Training Solutions says an AR-10 or 15. He says the media reported it as AR platform only. You know what? The media reported it in the beginning as a, we know that they're going to report it as an AR-15. So that's what I heard. It was all of a sudden it's an AR-15. But yeah, guys, I mean, it could technically be an AR-9. It could be AR-10. AR-9's a 9mm. AR-10 is your 308. And then obviously your AR-15 comes in 2 different calibers, 300 black, 5.56, 223. But they've made like 224s. I mean, there's so much variations here. All right, guys. That's all I got, but I really want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what your thoughts are, your impressions. Where do you think private security in California and elsewhere, where do you think we're going with all of this? Do you work at an employer, with an employer, for employer that provides quality executive protection training, or do you work EP work and you're wondering like when you're going to get that actual training? So I really want to hear from you guys. It's been awesome talking to everybody, and I really hope that you guys enjoy your evening. Take care.